Hello guys, this is Jacko from MuddyTigerOutdoors. Today we're going to do a quick video about my EDC, and this is something that I've been wanting to do for a little while, but I just quite haven't had the time to record a video and show you guys what I typically carry for an everyday scenario. So very few items, and we're going to call this a realistic EDC kit, and I say realistic because a lot of times we get caught up in the carrying too many things that we may not necessarily use on an everyday basis or even on a weekly basis. A lot of times we start putting a lot of things in our keychains, or we start carrying pouches with a lot of stuff that realistically we may not get to use. I know they're there just in case we need them, and just to be prepared in case we need them, but realistically some of us that may work in a building or an office building, some of us that work in the medical field and work in a hospital wearing scrubs, or some of us that like to wear not necessarily baggy clothes or a lot of stuff attached to our belts. That's where I'm coming from as far as a realistic EDC kit. So without further ado, we're going to start with item number one, and this is going to be a very obvious item. This is my keys, and there's nothing special about my keys. I carry house keys, car keys, mailbox keys, a lot of different things, but this little item right here is what I'm interested in, and this is a carabiner slash multi-tool. Multi-tool is only 2 or 3 tools in one. Obviously a carabiner for easier attachment to my keys, to attach them to my side or to my belt. Over here we have a little bit of a wrench or to tighten only one size of a nut. And over here we have a bottle opener, which I've only used about twice. I used to carry a different carabiner multi-tool that had a flathead screwdriver, 3 different sizes of these right here, and it was a little bit more of a utilitarian to use, but the carabiner part wasn't working very well, so I had to switch it for something that was a little bit more user-friendly. Now for item number 2, and this is an item that most of us should carry, it's a knife, and this particular one is the Spyderco Endura 4. I like this knife a lot. I've used it every single day for many different things, from trimming things, cutting things, opening boxes, even to help me cutting a different amount of materials in clinic or in my work. So it's been a very, very good knife, very sturdy. The quality is very, very well made, and obviously it's a Spyderco, so it's a very good knife. It was a little bit on the expensive side as far as a folder knife goes, but then again it's a very good quality item. The scales are very grippy, very they create a lot of traction, so your fingers don't slip, and they're actually hanging on to the handle. So excellent knife that always stays on my pocket, even though I wear scrubs or jeans, whatever I'm wearing, it's always there. Now item number 3, again an item that most of us, a great majority of population in the planet Earth has, and that is a cell phone. This particular cell phone is an iPhone 5, and I've got a pretty good sturdy case. I think that's very, very important. Too many of us drop our phones on a daily basis, or it happens often, so you have to have something that is going to protect your phone, because your phone may be very important for certain things. Calling 911 in case of an emergency, calling your loved ones, calling your family, obviously keeping all kinds of communication when needed. But the other thing is that most cell phones nowadays, they have a compass, and of course if you find yourself in a situation where you have to navigate, you have to make sure that you get to a certain place and you just don't know your bearings. Well, the compass is obviously the best tool that you have to be able to navigate to your destination. And here's what mine looks like. Of course, you can change the settings and have it look differently, but I think that's obviously a very, very important thing as far as navigation goes. Of course, this shouldn't be the only navigation device that you would have, because obviously it's an electronic device, so you shouldn't depend on that just to navigate yourself. You should know how to do that by looking at the moon, looking at the stars, looking at the sun, position of the earth, time of the day, all kinds of stuff. There's many different ways to know navigation. Now, speaking of navigation, the next item is going to be my watch, and this is a watch that my dad gave me, and I've had for I think a little over a year, if I'm not mistaken. This particular watch is a Suunto Ambit. Here is the model right there, the back of it. And this is a very, very good watch. It has a lot of different functions that I use on an everyday basis. For example, speaking of navigation, there is a compass right there, and it's a very accurate compass. I've tested it many times. I've experimented with it. Right now it's a little trippy because I have the Wi-Fi and there's a lot of electronics right here, like my cell phone pulling a signal. But if I'm just using this and not using any other electronics, it's very, very accurate. It has obviously a barometer, so it tells you the temperature, altitude, or altimeter, so it tells your temperature, altitude. It's also GPS compatible, so it'll hook up to a GPS, and you can actually set up waypoints in this, and for example, a waypoint on how to get home wherever you are in the planet, and it'll put you a waypoint and show you the direction that you need to travel. Obviously, you need a computer connection to be able to do this, but it's a great watch. Now, the only downside to this watch that I wish it wasn't like that is it has a rechargeable battery. So every month, at least for me, that's how it works. I have to plug it in for a couple hours to recharge the battery, and then I'm good to go. I wish it was solar charged or solar powered, so I wouldn't have to connect it, and I wouldn't have to depend on electricity to be able to use the watch. There are different models out there that are solar powered, including by Suunto, or made by Suunto. I have a Casio Pathfinder series, and that is solar powered, and that actually works very, very well. But this has a little bit more functions. I like the way this one looks a little bit better. It tracks your steps. You can track your temperature. You can set up a route. Tells you how many miles you've traveled, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of different functions that I like to have in a watch. Now, the next item is something that I only use for work. Again, I work in the medical field, so I use these on a very frequent basis, and these are nurses' scissors. These are great scissors. They're actually available on Amazon too, and you don't have to be a nurse to have these. These are great because they cut through everything, including metal, and they don't lose their sharpness. You can actually cut through wire. You can cut through coins if you need to. You can cut through a lot of different things, plastic, hard plastic, fiberglass, which I do on a daily basis, and they definitely hold their edge very well. These are, I think, made in Japan, and they have them in many different colors, but they're a great item to have. I actually have another set of these in my first aid kits, both for my backpack for outdoor use and also at the house, just in case, because they cut through bandages as well. And obviously a pen. You always need a pen to write things, make notes. At work, I write my, when I'm asking the patient, all that kind of stuff on my nurse's notes. So I definitely use a pen on a very daily basis. The next item may not be as realistic for most people as it is for me, and this is a firearm. And as you have seen in a lot of different videos, we're going to make this firearm safe. Magazine out. There's nothing in the chamber there. I kind of checked it before starting the video just to make sure. And this happens to be a Glock 19, but obviously you don't have to have a Glock 19. You can have all kinds of different ones, whatever your preference is. This particular firearm is what works for me, what feels comfortable for me. I shoot it really well. If you're not into firearms, this is something that you don't have to have. But then again, it's one of those items that if you really think about it, whatever your political affiliation is, whatever your political views are, it's something that it makes sense. It's as obvious as having a fire extinguisher at home. Why have a fire extinguisher if you have firefighters that can respond to a fire? Why have a firearm if you have the police? Well, it really doesn't work that well, because the police, the firefighters, are not going to be right there at the exact second when you need them. Same thing, why no CPR if there are paramedics? Well, if that was true, then nobody would care to get CPR trained. Nobody would care to have a fire extinguisher in their car or at their house. And same thing with a firearm. So it is a tool that will help you until help arrives, or until the correct authorities get there, or until you're out of the bad situation. So, you know, that's the way I see it. I see it as a tool. I pray that I never have to use it, but it's there if I need it. So I'm going to put that aside. And obviously, with any kind of firearm, it's the best thing if you're going to carry, to have a good quality holster. I've made a video about this particular holster. This is the Alien Gear holster Cloak Tuck 3.0, and this has been a very comfortable holster. I've had many different holsters, different kinds, and this is my first Alien Gear, and I definitely like it. I enjoy having it because it's comfortable, it's well padded in the back, and it holds the firearm very, very secure. It conceals it very well, and I definitely enjoy using this. Now, the other thing that I would consider essential for most of us that you know, like to have EDC kits, or like to be prepared for whatever happens, is a good pair of shoes. And I'm not going to show you my shoes right now, but to me it's very important to have a good tennis shoe or a closed-toe shoe that is not going to fall off in case of a collision. You know, too many times we see people getting into a car wreck and they have flip-flops, or they have, you know, slip-on shoes, and their shoes fall off, and guess what? Now they have to get out of the car and walk in the concrete, potential broken glass and stuff like that. So I know this is not for everybody. I know a lot of females out there like to wear cute shoes. A lot of guys like to wear flip-flops and a bunch of different shoes. You may not be able to wear tennis shoes for work, but I know that it's a very essential thing to wear a closed-toe shoe, something that you can lace up and have fixed to your shoe, so it doesn't fall off in case, once again, of a collision. In case you have to run, you don't have to worry about your flip-flops falling off. In case you have to travel through fractured terrain or uneven ground, things like that. Very, very important for me, a closed-toe shoe. And the next item is going to be, and I'm going to take my keys off real quick, it's going to be a good quality belt. And this can be leather, this can be nylon. There's a lot of different materials. Even there's some belts out there made out of paracord, and I think those are great. This particular belt is by Cabela's. That's the brand. That's where I bought this one. But there are a lot of similar belts made out of the same type of material. This is nylon. You know, it's kind of a tactical belt. I know 511 makes another one. Condor makes another one. There's a lot of different manufacturers that make this same type of belt, and I think that's very important, not only to hold your pants up, but of course, if you're going to carry things around your belt, you need something that is not going to be stretchy. You need something that is going to be strong enough for you to have all those things attached to your belt. Of course, if you carry a firearm, it's very, very essential that you have something that is going to hold the weight and not being, you know, move around, not you know, be unstable, if you will. But the other thing, and this is something important that I've seen somebody else do, and I've heard somebody else do, it can also be a tourniquet. If you are a first responder, if you happen to witness an accident and there's a loss of limb, or if there's a good amount of loss of blood from a limb, from a leg, from an arm, whatever you encounter, this can also be used as a tourniquet, and it can save somebody's life. And I've seen it. I haven't personally seen it myself, right there on the spot, but I know somebody that was able to use their belt as a tourniquet, and that potentially saved the guy's life. He lost his leg, or half of his leg. She applied the tourniquet and he didn't bleed out to death. The paramedics arrived and he was able to survive. So I think that's very, very important. There's a lot of different buckles. This one happens to have this little attachment. You can hang a bunch of things. I don't even know what this could be used for, but it's got the potential to be used, you know, to attach things, attach yourself to things. It's a very, very strong material. So another very essential part of an EDC kit is a good belt. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much it for my Realistic EDC kit. This is these are the things that I use on an everyday basis. I do have my firearm with me at all times, except when I work, when I'm in the facility, because I work in a hospital, and once again, like I've mentioned before, we cannot carry inside of a hospital. So this one has to stay locked up in the car while I'm at work. But then again, I have a knife. I have a lot of different things that I do use on an everyday basis. Now, there's a bunch of things that I would like to have, like lighter, ferrocerium rod, carabiners, multi-tools, things like that. But realistically, I cannot have all those things on me or on my belt. I would like to have a lot of water procurement type things and things of that nature, but realistically I just cannot have those when I'm working or when I'm out shopping at Walmart or Target. So that is my kit for now. Alright guys, like always, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you gather a little bit of knowledge from what I said. Of course, I'm always willing to take in some of your comments and tell me suggestions, tell me what you think about the items that I presented to you. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Please check us out on Facebook, Muddy Tiger Outdoors. We'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.